What's poppin' YouTube? Pixar used to be a separate studio that felt so much more unique in comparison to Walt Disney Studios and the more tried and true formula. So when Pixar first launched with Toy Story as the first big film of the studio, it was so vastly different than anything that had been coming out as of recent, and it showed, doing extremely well and even getting nominated for 3 Oscars. It undoubtedly did amazing, and Pixar would continue to release amazing films, banger after banger. Even after Disney acquired Pixar in 2006, they continued to release amazing films that would go down as classics among kids and lots of adults. But as the years go on, the two companies have really started to blur in terms of style and storytelling, where at this point, people just classify Pixar movies into just being Disney movies. By 2010, one of Pixar's most famous and successful franchises, being Toy Story, had come to an end with its 3rd installment, and it was widely acclaimed and even got nominated for some Oscars. That is a very impressive earning. The film itself was really good and emotional, and it had gone full circle with all the characters. We see Andy grow up and move on from his childish ways as he's transitioning into adulthood and going to college. And in response, the toys have to go into the attic and basically collect dust, which is actually kind of sad. But they end up going to daycare, which is basically like a prison, and then they want to escape. And by the end of the movie, Andy gets to them again, and he gives them a new kid named Bonnie, where they can continue the cycle and get played with again and again and again. A great conclusion to a great trilogy. We hit every beat, and while I do still like the first and second one a little bit more, I cannot deny that this one is still very strong, and it made me cry when I first watched it. It's still emotional to this day, and for almost a decade, that was the end of it. A few spin-offs and specials here and there, but nothing close to a full-length film. And the shorts that did come out were very low-key and very enjoyable. Just simple shorts, nothing more. And then in 2019, Toy Story 4 came out. When I saw its announcement and trailer, I was instantly nervous. I was so afraid of a good ending turning sour. What was there to be told? We had hit every beat and came full circle with the toys being given to a new kid. Why did we need another? And then I finally watched it. And yeah, my concerns were valid. Don't get me wrong, this film has attributes that I really think are fun. The most notable being the animation and how realistic and meticulous it is. Comparing it to the first film, it's like night and day in terms of graphics. But when it comes to the story, that's where it feels like the black sheep of the franchise. Woody starts to sway to the side of not sticking to one singular kid anymore. Once he reunites with Bo Peep, he really sees how happy she is being a lost toy. And by the end of the film, Woody ends up leaving all of his friends and Bonnie to live a life as a lost toy, being played with by different kids and helping other toys out. In a way, this is more of a conclusion for Woody's character than anything else. Even so, when you compare it to the rest of the series, it just doesn't hold up very well. Woody's core trait is how loyal he is to a kid, and seeing him go against that is kinda hard to believe. Of course the circumstances are different, but even so, he kinda gives up on not just Bonnie, but all of his friends too, which to me comes off really sad and untrue to Woody. In the very first opening scene of Toy Story 4, Woody makes an attempt to rescue Bo Peep, who is being given off to someone else, after Andy's sister has no need for her anymore. And what really set me off was how Woody almost got into the box with Bo Peep, and how he was just ready to pack up and move on to the next kid. It wasn't until Andy called him that he chilled. But why were you attempting it? Especially this early, when Woody is in his prime with Andy. Woody's biggest trait is kind of thrown for a loop and contradicts everything the previous Toy Story movies had been establishing with not just Woody, but with the supporting characters too, like Buzz.
Somewhere in that pat of stuffing is a toy who taught me that life's only worth living if you're being loved by a kid. And I traveled all this way to rescue that toy because I believed him.
This movie isn't all bad, and like I said, there's stuff that I liked. But again, it kind of goes against Woody's whole philosophy and viewpoint on life. And this movie does not justify its existence enough. Not to mention, most of the characters who had a good ending came back in this film with nothing to do, and they sort of just appear in the background, including Buzz. He's given little to do, and it's really disappointing. Look, there are tons of videos on this that go deeper, but I think I get my point across. It wasn't the worst thing ever, but it was a poor attempt to follow up the amazing conclusion that was Toy Story 3. and the movie really wanted to keep the franchise alive to make more money off, despite the narrative being fully concluded. But it gets worse. Just when you think everything in the Toy Story franchise is done, we get a very generic and straight up insulting movie called Lightyear. I think any viewer of my channel that has seen any of my other videos has heard me talk about this movie in a negative light before, so I'll keep it brief. Ultimately, this film has several forgettable side characters, and a really dull buzz, with a twist villain that outright comes off as stupid. This film is literally just a cash grab, and it feels so shallow.
What the dog doing?
The humor did not land, and the action was super generic. This film has no reason to exist other than to snag a quick buck. The Toy Story franchise has begun to fall into mediocrity. However, we thought the worst was behind us, until not too long ago, when it was announced that a Toy Story 5 was in the works. Have you learned nothing? I cannot even fathom an idea of what this next movie is going to be about. And I know I shouldn't judge before seeing it, but I'll be honest, my hope for this is little to none, because I don't think there will be anything coming near the third, or let alone the fourth movie. This story has already concluded twice. There was nothing left to be said, and I wouldn't even know what could be said. What's gonna happen? Is Buzz gonna realize he actually hates kids and wants to regress back to Toy Story 1 Buzz? I mean, seriously, how long are they gonna keep milking this cow for? Clearly, Disney knows it's profitable, but I think the public is catching on to how stupid of an idea this is. And it's not just Toy Story. God no. Disney will continue to milk whatever franchise is left until it is dry, so they can't do it anymore. And even then, their live action remakes have plenty to choose from. I hate that Disney couldn't let a good thing be, and had to start shoving unnecessary sequel after unnecessary sequel into unnecessary spin-offs and the whole shebang. I worry about what Toy Story 5 will be like. But hey, let me know what you think in the comments. I'm always eager to hear what other people think about these movies. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, leave a like and consider subscribing. It helps out a lot, and I'll catch you all later.